Okay.
Hello, Hamed.
Hi. Oh. Give me 2 minutes time.
Okay. Okay.
I'm just downloading a document. Please hold on.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Today we will look into some coding standards which is widely used across the IT industry.
Okay.
A very important thing and which is actually out of our course. Still, I have included this for your
Knowledge.
better usage purpose when you get into the real-time environment.
Yeah.
And you also, right from today, you adopt these coding conventions and the best practices which we are looking into today. Adopt these things in your regular coding daily life right from now.
Okay.
Right.
Java coding standards. So this is the common standard defined for developing Java-based application. Java coding standard is a set of guidelines and rules defined by Java community to explain how a Java code needs to be organized and developed. So the thing is, once you are into your job, so you will be developing some code.
Yeah.
So while developing the code, the first thing is you need to follow some standards. Why to follow the standards? If you don't follow the standards, what happens? So if you don't follow the standards, you just work upon the requirement, put your code in, write your code, then you close that, and one fine day your project gets released, and you will be coming out of the project because you have done your responsibility and your application is being used by some customer now.
Yeah.
Yes.
So once the development is done, it's not like the part of the development activities are done. The maintenance activities comes into picture once the development is finished. While maintenance, there may be some other developer who is going to look into your code, right?
Right.
Right.
So when he looks into, he should be able to understand what you have done in your code. So the first and foremost thing is you need to add Java comments wherever applicable. So when you define a variable, when you write a method, when you write a class, so why this class is used, what is the purpose it is used, and when was it used, and for what requirement you have created this new class. Got it?
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah.
All these things should be mentioned in comments. Also, you follow some standards also. Standards in the sense the class name should begin with uppercase. And if there are multiple words in the class name, second, third, fourth word also should begin with uppercase. Got it?
Yeah.
Got it.
Got it.
Such a type of naming convention you should follow. If you don't follow, then understanding your code becomes difficult for the new programmer.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if it becomes difficult, then it takes time to analyze them. So when it takes time, production time is reduced, right? So when it is
Right.
it is time. So it is better if you put comments, you can easily understand what is happening over there. And if you are following standards, you can. So Java standards are common across the globe. When you are using common standards, then it is easy to understand, right?
Right.
Right.
So recommended to you go for coding standards. This is to ensure that the people across the world belonging to Java community would be able to understand and maintain Java applications with ease.
Yes.
So why coding standards? Code conventions improve readability of the software, the program what you are writing, easy understanding of the application, and easy maintenance also. And it will reduce the maintenance cost. So for these purposes, you need to learn the coding standards. Then you can see here, we are looking into each and every coding standard.
Yes.
So while creating your files in project, so the documentation comments goes here. So documentation, the class name, the version, and you can see here the author information, when it was written, when it was compiled, when it is executed, all these things you describe in documentation section, which should be the first in your file, right?
Right.
Right.
File essence, till now we have been writing some files. Yesterday also we created 2 files, right, for programs.
Yeah.
One is a calculator program, the other one is a test logic, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm talking about those files. So you should first write comments, then
Okay.
followed by package name. So of course, package name, when you create a package, automatically package name goes in the file, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Then import statements. Whenever you are using some classes, they gets automatically imported when you do control space and use them, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Then class name, then member variable declaration, then
Yes.
constructors, then public methods, then private methods, then if there are any inner classes, these things. So this should be the hierarchy.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and should not be longer than 2000 lines. Entire file. Okay,
Okay.
you can see Java sample file here. So comments, class level comments, then package and import declaration, member variable and constructors, then public and private methods. Got it?
Got it.
Got it.
Naming convention. So you have to follow the naming conventions. Of course, you are aware of, but still I am highlighting. The unique name
Yes.
you provide to a function, class name, or attributes. So you should provide a meaningful name and unique name for your classes, functions, and attributes. Benefits
Okay.
of naming convention. Naming conventions make programs more understandable by making them easier to read. And they can also give information about the function, class, and attribute without going through the content. That's what.
Yes.
You can see here, method name just giving calculate is a bad example of naming the method. Variable name giving balance name
Yeah.
is a bad example. Instead, you can give method names like calculate root tax. So by looking at the name of the method itself, it's easy, right? Okay, this method is going to calculate the root tax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Balance, instead, bank account balance. Can you see here? Lowercase, uppercase. So
Yes.
give meaningful names for your classes, methods, interfaces, whatever the thing you are doing, identifiers, right?
Right.
Right.
And here you can see identifier type packages. So package name is always written in lowercase and should be one of the top level domain names such as com. So it should be, the package name should contain domain names like com, commercial, education, government, right?
Yeah.
Net.
Right.
So the package name should be also talking about the standards. And you can see here some examples, com.sun. Some engineering work,
Yeah.
java.lang package, java.util, education related, CMU, CS, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
And class name should be nouns. To remember over there, class name should be nouns. Should be mixed case with the first letter and each internal word should be capitalized. And should be
Yes.
simple and descriptive. And avoid acronyms and abbreviations.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
So the class names like a menu bar, menu item, which are nouns. And you can see uppercase and uppercase, the second word, right?
Yeah.
Interface name
Right.
should be capitalized like class names. And some projects,
Yes.
they have a convention of starting it with letter I. So interfaces generally in projects will begin with a letter capital I, which says
Okay.
it is an interface.
All
You
right.
can see here map, list, menu, container, all the interfaces, and you can see I account,
Account.
which says that it is an interface. Okay, account.
Right.
Methods.
Okay.
Methods should be verbs, and it should be in mixed case, of course. Lowercase it begins, and every second, third, fourth words have uppercase, right?
Right.
Right.
Run fast, get background. Okay, these are the methods.
Mm.
And variables. So the local variable and member variable starts with a lowercase letter. And
Yes.
internal words should have capital letters. And variable name
Mm-hmm.
should not start with special characters. Variable name should be short and meaningful. So one character variable names should be avoided, such as you can see we generally write int I, int j, int k like this, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Avoid that. Avoid that. Instead give meaningful name. Got it?
Got it.
Got
For looping into the while loop or for loop, int I we say. Instead, you give int counter. Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
and you can see here some examples: int width, character, column number, float, my width, float, account balance.
it.
Okay,
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
constants. So the class constant should be all uppercase, and there may be a separator underscore here. The constant name should be meaningful and descriptive. You can see here, minimum square width is 4, maximum square width is 999. Minimum rectangle width is 4, maximum rectangle width is 999. Got it? So
Got
underscore
it.
being the separator and it is in uppercase constants.
Okay.
So variable declaration. So adopt one declaration per line is recommended since it helps in commenting the variables. You can see here do's and don'ts. Don't declare two variables in a single line. Int level comma size. Instead, go for int level one variable, int size the other variable.
Yeah.
So that
Yes.
the first variable can be described in comment here immediately after that. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
And do not put different field types on the same line. So here you can say int foo array. Both are of type integer.
Yeah.
Don't put that in a single line. Instead, go for two different lines. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they belong to same data type. And variable declaration. So here you can see initialization. So initialize local variables where they are declared. I'm talking about the variables that are present in a method or in a block. You have to initialize them
Yes.
whenever they are declared. Exceptions. Not declared unless the initial value depends on some computation occurring first. Most of the cases try to put the value of the local variable immediately. Suppose there may be chances that the variable present in the method may be expecting some computation value. Then during the time you cannot initialize. Over there you have to wait, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Then indexes of for loops which in Java can be declared in the first statement. So here you can see int I equals to 0. It's initialized. And don't. So here,
Yeah.
don't wait to declare variables until their first use. Do you understand? Don't wait to
Yeah.
declare variables until their first use.
Yes.
Avoid local
Yeah.
declarations that hide declarations at higher level. And these local declarations that are hiding higher levels in the sense, you can see here in my method, and outside the method. Outside the method there is a variable count, right?
Yeah.
And inside the method local variable, if some condition int count, again we are using the same method variable name, which is hiding the variable that is present outside the method. Got it?
Yeah. Got it.
Avoid such usage. Instead, go for new variable name. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And here you can see. So put declarations only at the beginning of the blocks. A block is any code surrounded by curly braces. You can see method opens, method closes. Your declaration should go immediately inside the method at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right. So statements. So these are the control structures. Simple statement, if statement, first statement, return, while, do while, switch, try catch. Okay, all these are statements. In statements, so each line should contain at most one statement only. And you can see here, in this line, two statements are written. Int I equals to 0 semicolon and int I equals to I plus 1. Instead, go with two separate lines. Okay.
Yes.
Then if else, so here you can see statements in if else block should be surrounded with curly braces. You can see here if statement without any curly braces. It is valid, still advised to go for mentioning the blocks curly braces. Okay.
All right.
For statements, so statement in for loop block should be surrounded with curly braces.
Yes.
And here you can see for loop here, open brace,
Yeah.
close brace. Even
Yeah.
though there is a single statement, it is better advisable to go for body curly braces. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And any empty for statement one in which all the work is done in initialization, condition, update clauses should have the following. So it should be of this. You can see a semicolon at the end.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Hmm.
Return statement. So here with return statement, a return statement with a value should not use parenthesis unless they make the return value more obvious in some way. You can see here return semicolon is good. Return, you are calling some method on a variable. This is also valid. And return, you can
Yes.
see some computation is being performed over the ternary condition size. If
Yeah.
it is true, then this size would be returned. If it is false, the default size is given, right?
Yes.
So a while statement should have the following form: while condition and open curly brace, close curly brace.
Yeah.
An empty while should have like this: while condition and no braces, put a semicolon. Empty while.
Yeah.
Do while should have this. So syntax
Mm.
kind of thing here. Okay.
Yes.
And you can,
Okay.
if you observe over there, your opening brace and close curly brace, opening curly brace and closing curly brace. It is
Yes.
after while condition immediately.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a open curly brace somewhere here under W. It's not. It is not the recommended one. Got it?
Got it.
Oh,
And here also do while.
okay.
Do immediately there is an open curly brace. Somebody will be pushing it down. It's not the recommended one. The open curly brace should be
Okay.
immediately after that. As a third character. Got it?
Got it.
Very.
Switch statement. It should be like this: switch condition immediately opening brace and closing curly brace. And case statement. Okay.
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 So don't implement a switch case statement without a default case. So default case is though optional. Recommended
Yeah.
to use default case also. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So try-catch statements. A try-catch statement should have the following format: try, immediately opening brace, block of statements, closing, and immediately catch. Do you follow? Close
Yes.
brace and
Yes.
immediately catch. Somebody will be
Mm.
writing catch plus down that curly brace, closing the
Mm.
closing curly brace. Don't use like that. Follow like this: catch,
Oh,
exception, and immediately open brace and then close brace. Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
A
Okay.
try-catch statement may also be followed by finally block. So like this.
Mm.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Then white spaces. So blank lines improve readability by grouping the sections of code that are logically related. So one blank line should be always given in the following circumstances: between the methods. A class may be having n number of methods. So
Yes.
one method then followed by second method. Over there you can give a blank space between the methods.
Okay.
And between the local variables in the method and its first statement. Got it?
Got it.
Got
So
it.
inside the method first declare, then you go for the processing the logic. Over there you can give a space
Okay.
between the variable declaration and the processing logic. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
before a block or single line comment. And between logical sections inside a method to improve readability. Okay.
Okay.
Mm. Okay.
If you do my program which spoke about serialization deserialization mechanism, I have put both serialization as
Mm.
well as deserialization in a single program, right?
Yes.
So serialization you will be writing in one try-catch block, and deserialization I am going to write in another try-catch block. If you observe over there, a line gap should be given between the serialization block of statements and deserialization block of statements. Got it?
Got it.
Got it.
That is what logical sections means.
Okay.
So Java comments. So Java comments is a technique used for either marking a functional code as non-executable or adding some explanation about a particular logic. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the use of Java comments? Used for adding inline comments to explain a complex logic. Then explain why the fix was done for a change request. Change request in the sense after the project is developed, it is given to client for the usage purpose. The client when using it may be requiring some additional functionality. Okay, that additional
Yeah.
functionality is known as change request. So
Okay.
he will mention a change request to the maintenance team and the maintenance team will work on the change request. Got it?
Got it.
Okay.
To explain change request, we depend upon comments
Yeah.
Okay.
and helps define why variables has been declared and used for commenting out a code for any future use. Okay,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and benefits of comments. This can be used by any developers to easily understand a complex logic developed by a different person. That's what I explained to you
Yes.
at the beginning. And used for tracking
Mm-hmm.
the changes of the code, say CR number or some defect number, bug.
Mm.
So always. So here they are just mentioning the number over there. Hash represents number. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here you can see documentation starts with like this documentation comment, single line comment and multi-line comment.
Okay.
So what this documentation section comment is, you can see here it is used before the declarations of interfaces, classes, members, functions and fields to document them. If you observe
Mm.
in our Eclipse, I think I did not launch Eclipse, I launched Eclipse section, the documentation section comment. You are aware of a single line comment and multi-line comment.
Yeah.
Documentation section comment is a different thing, which will describe about the components present in our project, the classes. I'll show you that. Observe that
Mm-hmm.
in my string demo example, equals method is there, right? Equals.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
have put my cursor on that equals method. This is whatever it is displaying is a documentation comment actually
Oh.
about that equals method. Okay.
Okay.
Likewise, when you write a class, you can see uh, I say class. You can see here for a class, when you write a documentation comment, take your cursor onto the class. You can see here the documentation comment says that the author is so and so person. Got
Yeah.
it?
Got it.
So likewise, you can write some description about this. Okay,
Okay.
this is what documentation comment is. Of course, single line comment and multi-line comment. Okay,
Yes.
Mm.
so single line comments are used internally within the member functions to document the business logic, sections of code, and declaration of temporary variables, all these things. And
Mm-hmm.
multi-line comments used for commenting block of lines. and cannot be
Yes.
extracted as a documentation like a documentation comment. The thing is, for a multi-line comment, sir, when you put your cursor over there, they will not display there. Only documentation comment
Yeah.
will display when you hold your cursor, okay?
Okay.
And documentation comment will have double star here when beginning. You can see
Yes.
the
Yeah.
what is that syntax. So here
Mm-hmm.
slash double star, then goes comment lines, then closing star and what is that slash. Here with multi-line
Slash.
comments it is single star. Okay,
Yes.
Oh,
that's the difference between documentation comment and multi-line comment.
Yeah.
So here you can see some example. Documentation comments are meant to describe the specification of the code to be read by developers who might not necessarily have the source code at hand. Okay,
Yeah.
mm,
and class level it would be like this. Class description goes here, version of the class, author. Okay,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
method level documentation comment would be like this. So method description, and what method does is this removes all contained objects, author, parameters. If it is throwing an exception, throws. Okay.
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 And usage of parentheses. So here you can see parentheses, that is braces, should be used liberally in expressions involving mixed operators and helps
Yes.
to identify any precedence related bugs. Easy to understand mixed operators are complex conditions. You can see here. So if A double equals to B and C double equals to D instead, write like this. A double equals to B in brace. C double equals to D in another pair of brace. Got it?
Got it.
That.
Yes. That's about some naming convention. We have few more things. So here, the best practices that can be adopted with Java collections. Can you see here? Here. So these are commonly made mistakes when using collections. Use interface
Mm-hmm.
reference to collections. So here you can see array list object is being created here. Array list number list equals to new number list. Don't go for this kind of declaration. Instead go for
Yeah.
polymorphic
List.
representation list. Number
Yeah.
list equals to new array list. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
And usage of collections.size method in for loop. You can see here for loop is going to navigate across the collection. For int I
Yeah.
equals to 0, I less than, you can see the collection dot size given right here,
Yes.
and then I plus plus and some processing logic. Don't go
Yeah.
for such kind of declaration. Instead, you go first you compute the size of the collection,
Yeah.
Ah,
get that size and put that size. Reason is,
okay.
if you go for this first kind of declaration with calculating the size, for every iteration, the collection's size is calculated, which is time
Yeah.
consuming.
Yeah.
Instead, get that size first, use that size. Okay.
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 So avoid iterating collections using index. Better go for iterator. Okay.
Okay.
Then use collections with generics to define the data types. So here you can see list contains integer. Don't go for
Integer.
generic here, the general representation. Okay, got it?
Got it.
Got
I
it.
believe you are aware of generics, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Fine. Then copy collections into other collections using add all and don't iterate them for copying. You can see here we have add all method, right?
Yeah.
Which would add a
Oh,
collection into another collection, right?
Yeah.
Use add
right.
all method. Don't go for iterating through the second collection and add one by element to the existing collection. Okay,
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
because of the performance issue. Collection. It's the root interface. List. It's an ordered collection and which contains duplicates. Vectors can hold
Vector.
duplicate values and is thread safe. Array list can
Mm.
hold duplicates and it is not thread safe, and it can hold null values. Set
Mm-hmm.
contains only unique elements. It does not entertain duplicates, and it is an unordered collection.
Yeah.
Hash set allows nulls, does not allow duplicate values. Reset, so all entire entries to be sorted in specific order, ascending order. Okay.
Yeah.
So when to use map? Map is an object that will be having data in the form of key and value, right?
Right.
Hash
Right.
map can contain null value and it is not thread safe. Hash table is thread safe and cannot contain null value. Can contain null value, sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Key map, ordered value based upon the key, and it is not thread safe. The only thread safe collection in the map is hash table.
Hash table. Okay.
String. So literal versus new keyword. So here you can see, don't go for declaring string s3 equals to new string, string s4 equals to new string, hello. Instead, go for string s1 equals to hello, string s2 equals to hello. Because we have seen that string constant pooling mechanism is used by JVM to effectively utilize the string objects, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So better go for this kind of declaration, right side.
Mm.
And plus operator versus string buffer. So if string values are known upfront during compile time, go for plus operator for concatenation. Otherwise, go for string
Yeah.
buffer. So here you can see. Then sizing of the buffer. So string buffer concatenation equals to new string buffer. A string buffer object is created. So instead of giving empty string buffer constructor here, better give some size over there for string buffer.
All right.
Mm.
So wrappers versus primitive. So when to use wrappers over primitive? Use wrappers when you need the value stored in wrapper needs to be manipulated, such as convert integer to string to
Yeah.
double float. And use wrappers only if you need to store primitive values in a collection object.
Yes.
Disadvantages. Wrapper objects eats up memory as they are objects instantiated into the Java heap memory. So wrapper consumes 4 times the memory space of the primitive data type. Okay.
Wow.
CPU cycles exhausted to remove wrapper objects from memory, degrading the response time. Okay.
Yeah.
Use only wrapper classes when you are working with collections. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the thing is, when there is an exception occur, to analyze the exception, better go from bottom to top.
Yeah.
This is the exception start trace, right? So
Yes.
to understand the
Right.
exception, recommended is go for bottom to top.
The top.
So exception best practices. So catch specific exceptions and be specific while handling the exceptions in your catch block. So there are possibilities that the unintended exceptions would be caught and handled, resulting in erroneous control flow. So here you can see, don't catch generic exception. That is, with a try catch block, don't mention exception heap. Instead, go for specific exception. Okay. So here you can see
Okay.
calculate exception. There may be some calculate exception here, which
All right.
this calculate method may be throwing. So go
Yeah.
for specific exception catching, not general exception. Okay.
Yeah.
So do not use exception handling to control programming logic. This makes the code tough to debug and maintain. So here you can see, try catch block. In catch block, you are trying to invoke a method. Got it here?
Yeah.
Don't do such thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Use finally block to release the resources to prevent resource leaks. So here you can see, closing connection is going in the try block here. You better push it to
That's
finally
bad.
block. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
Here you can see connection dot throws. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do not use exception handling in loops. Avoid it. This can result into loop continuing even if exception is thrown, resulting in eating up the CPU cycles.
Yeah.
You can see the for loop writing a try catch block. Avoid that.
Yeah.
Good practice is you can see here the for loop inside the try block. Got it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So avoid print stack trace. This prints the error in the console and is costly process. So e dot print stack trace. Print stack trace. Don't use this.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do not suppress the root cause. Suppressing the root cause will make the developer's job tough. So here you can see exception suppressed here. Directly using calculate exception here. Calculate exception. So here instead you just log some message. You can see here
Okay.
exception here thrown again, which is a good practice. So calculate exception and throw that exception, or use logging to throw that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do not log exception at multiple places. Ensure that you log the exception in place in an exception chain. So too much logging eats up the time again. Also, the log file will have lots of exceptions logged, which will be a nightmare for developers to debug. Okay.
Okay.
Too much of logging is also avoided. You can see in the catch block log dot error. Okay.
Yeah.
Instead, you can see hence exception is logged only at one place here, catch block. Okay.
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 So return statements never return values from multiple places in the method. So tough to troubleshoot the code. You can see here there is a class valid age which is returning boolean value. Okay.
Yeah.
And here
Okay.
some if else condition here. Person dot age something is going and inside the if block there is return true. Inside another else if return some return value.
False.
Return boolean value.
Yeah.
And finally here return. Instead, don't go for such so many return statements. Good practice is you declare a boolean variable of what is a variable of boolean, give an initial value, and you can see here initialize that boolean variable with some that is variable with the boolean value in the if block.
Okay.
Finally, use one return statement.
Okay.
Got it?
Got it.
That.
So error code and error messages. So what is this error code and error message? So while working with your Servlet JSP, 404 page cannot be found. So
Yeah.
404 is the error code and page cannot be found is the error message. So error code is unique number to identify the problem and error message is one line description about that error. So error code, this will be typically defined as a constants in a Java file. And examples, you can see page not found errors of error code. Okay. So you can define some error codes for your application, user defined error codes. Between
Yeah.
100 and 200 login functionality related thing. 200 and 300 data access error codes. 500 plus common functionality. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
We are defining our error codes if something goes wrong with our application while using by the customer. Right?
Yeah.
So let's say we roll out the application to a set of people who don't understand English. Assume that they get the error code 404 page cannot be found. The user would be embraced by looking at the error code. So
Yeah.
here the messages displayed should be based on the end user locale. Here the Japanese, it should be in Japanese language. Got it?
Got it.
And the error messages where it is defined. So to avoid this problem, define the error message in property files, separate
Yeah.
property files for different locales, and the
Yeah.
application picks up based upon the locale, right?
Right.
Right.
So
Okay.
So method calls,
Mm.
logging, string concatenation inside for loop. So avoid DAO calls inside a for loop. Okay.
Yeah.
DAO calls in
Mhm.
the sense, in our MVC application, in the service layer, we created a DAO object, right? Then we invoked
Yeah.
a method from the DAO
Yeah.
object. Such
Yes.
calls.
Yeah.
Such calls. Avoid unnecessary method calls. Avoid string concatenation. Avoid logging inside a loop, and avoid exception handling inside loop. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because response time will be low, and unnecessary object creation resulting into memory out of errors because of the above things. Okay.
Yeah.
So property file usage. Property files are widely used to control application configurations without recompilation, right?
Yeah.
It is a lot easier and faster. And examples of property file usage: error code and error messages generally, logging level, log file path, etc. can be configured in property files. And few applications uses email address, website address, which can be configured in the property file. Local specific data like labels, screen title, messages can be used in property files. Okay.
Yeah.
So best practices in JSP. Use relative path in JSP. So absolute path is not portable in other applications. You can see here. There is some source. So here you are using. You can see your workspace related path here. Workspace, some airline reservation, and some image. Okay.
Yeah.
Instead, you go for using relative path. You can see here.
Okay.
So here this kind of thing. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Then avoid scriptlets. Okay.
Yeah.
So scripted code is not usable and results in redundant code. Scriptlets mix logic with
Mm.
the presentation, make JSP pages difficult to read, debug, test, and to maintain. Scriptlets compile errors can be difficult to interpret, and the code is difficult to test. So here
Yeah.
instead we are using JSTL core tags, right? C,
Yeah.
Yes.
right? So use session objects religiously. So here you can see, don't load objects needed for handling specific requests in session. Load in the session only if it is needed. You can see here, so needed throughout the session. So request.get parameter, some parameter we are obtaining, a session.set attribute here we are setting. So here, this can result in choking the application server memory, resulting into a crash. So here, don't load the objects needed for handling the specific request. I mean to say, if you are working with request, put that attribute in request, not in session. Got it?
Got it.
Because session would consume time then. So
Yes.
use JSP comments, not HTML comments. So here you can see this is JSP comment
Yeah.
and this is HTML comment. Okay. So if
Okay.
you use HTML comment, this type of comment will appear in the output. This one. This will be
Oh.
hidden in
Okay.
the output. That is the reason.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So JSP comment don't appear in the output produced by the JSP pages. They are hidden.
Yeah.
JSP comments do not increase the size of the file. JSP comments are useful to increase the readability of the JSP page. Got it?
Got it.
Oh.
So this is one of the important interview questions. They may ask you the difference between HTML comment and the JSP comments. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So to include mechanisms available to insert a file in a JSP page. So assume that in my page JSP, the following two files are included. Include directive at the rate some directive HTML and include action. They are including some action.jsp. So the difference is, we know that, right? Include directive, that is happening at compilation type, right?
Yeah.
JSP action
Right.
include would have it at execution time, right?
Right.
Yes.
So that's what being explained here. So my page would be including translation phase. So my page will direct to HTML. Got it?
Got it.
At the translation phase itself. And action.jsp, that is JSP action would be including during the execution time, not at the translation time. That is the basic difference. And another difference is with the page directive include, the file size gets increased because the contents are copy pasted, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And with JSP action, the output only included. Got it?
Got it.
Got it.
So avoid giving unnecessary scope in the use bin. Okay.
Hmm.
So don't go for mentioning it in session scope. If you are only using it, go for, you can see a scope, maybe page, request, like this you can go. So application and session scope, if used wrongly, results in heating up memory. Okay.
Yeah.
So while mentioning the scope also, be careful.
All right.
This is a different thing which is out of. So benefits of logging, of course, we have seen. So avoid multiple logins. Instead, log only
Yeah.
one particular area. So logging meaningful messages, input parameters, and use the right log levels, info or debug or error. Benefits help
Yes.
to easily analyze the process flow. So don't use some bad logging messages like, "Hi, I am here. It's a bullseye. Hooray, I made it." So don't use these kind of messages.
Yeah.
Instead, use calculating tax parameter is this. Error happened while calculating tax, this exception. Got it?
Got it.
Yeah.
So logging for tuning performance, add logging to troubleshoot the performance issues. This would easy to analyze the performance bottlenecks of methods. So log.info. So starting to calculate the time method at the end. Calculate the tax time completed. So that is method execution time. If you want to know, you can log at the beginning of the method this time, at the end of the method this time. You can the difference. If you make the difference between the two times, you will get the time taken by the execution of the method, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yes, that's all about the best practices. So with this, I am winding up the session,
Okay.
and we will not have a session my evening because I have some office works. We will not be having in the evening sessions. Instead, we will be having only in the mornings, right from now.
All right.
And then catch you. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.